Have you ever found yourself in such a financial ruin that you enroll yourself in a literal death game at a chance to win a humongous cash prize? Trust me guys, it ain't fun, because that's exactly what the characters end up doing in the newest South Korean survival thriller series, Squid Game. Now, full disclosure here, even though this new Netflix show has blown up all over the internet, I knew absolutely nothing about it before watching. I heard Squid Game and I instantly thought it was a SpongeBob spin-off starring your favorite friendly neighborhood squid. Just leave it alone, Nickelodeon. You already fucked up the Patrick show. Squid Game is a Netflix original series that tells the story of 456 financially struggling individuals who willingly sign up to play 6 children's games for a chance to win a huge cash prize. The catch? If you get eliminated, you die. If you fail to follow the rules, you die.
If we find out you have personalized license plates, you die.
I think we get the point. This is an absolutely amazing and brutal show that will take you on a roller coaster ride of emotions and keep you on the edge of your seat the entire time. I'll be explaining the events that take place throughout the series by breaking down the major plot points for each episode. We'll also be explaining the ending and what it means for the future of Squid Game. If you enjoy the video, make sure to click that like button as it really helps my channel and helps keep me from having to join Squid Game my damn self. But without further ado, sit back and relax and join me as we explore the brutal and deadly games that may just help keep you from total bankruptcy in Squid Game. Our show begins with the introduction of its main character, Song Gi-hoon, portrayed by actor Lee Jung-jae. Gi-hoon lives with his elderly mother and gambles away her hard-earned cash at horse tracks so he can pay off his large debt. He is being pursued by loan sharks who in Asia are known to be especially violent and relentless. It's established right away that his situation is dire and that he is getting desperate. However, that doesn't stop him from taking his daughter out for her birthday and getting her a pretty neat birthday present. Gi-hoon is divorced and his ex-wife's new husband plans on taking them to America unless he can prove he is financially stable enough to gain custody over his daughter. He meets a mysterious man portrayed by Gong Yoo, who most people will recognize from his role in Train to Busan. He plays a one-sided game of Dakji and gets slapped around a few times by the man for a couple bucks. Gi-hoon is then given a card and invited to participate in a competition with a chance to win a huge cash prize, which could free him from his financial burden. He wakes up in a large room along with 455 other contestants, all wearing the same green uniforms. All contestants are numbered in the order in which they joined the competition. Gi-hoon was the last one to join and befriends number 1, a sweet elderly man with a brain tumor. We are also introduced to main characters number 67, 101, 199, and 218, a man named Cho Sang-woo and Gi-hoon's longtime childhood friend. Every single participant is going through financial struggles and have all voluntarily agreed to participate for a humongous cash prize that could change their lives. Everyone signs a consent form stating they are not allowed to stop playing, they cannot refuse to play, and the games may only be stopped by a majority vote. The contestants must take place and win in 6 games modeled after children's games to be victorious. The games are being administered by mysterious men wearing pink suits and black masks marked with the PlayStation button symbols that symbolize their ranks. This guy called the front man is their leader. How did I know that? Oh, I don't know. Just a lucky guess. To keep the integrity of a fair contest, none of the contestants know what game they'll be playing prior to actually playing the game. After what must have taken hours of my absolute least favorite thing to do, waiting in line, the first game finally begins. The game is called Green Light, Red Light, and the objective is fairly simple. You must reach the other end of the room and cross the red line within the given time limit. However, you can only move while the voice says green light, red light, and must stay absolutely still right after or be eliminated. Eliminated not just from the game, but from life. A huge portion of the players are straight up gunned down within seconds, like Rambo himself was manning the machine guns. However, number 1 just doesn't give a and beats the first game like a literal boss. Gi-hoon manages to make it to the end thanks to help from number 199, and the end of the first episode reveals that the competition is taking place on a remote island. Let's hope Mr. Beast doesn't get any bright ideas after this. All the dead contestants are carried away and cremated in a coffin cosplaying as a gothic Christmas present. 255 players were eliminated, and the majority of the remaining 201 begged to be released from the competition. They are reminded that they all all voluntarily signed up for this and are visually reminded of the price of victory. The total prize gets added by 100 million won per elimination for a possible total of 45 billion won, roughly $38 million. Despite the fortune literally hanging over their heads, they choose to invoke the third clause, which states the game may be terminated by a majority vote. They are faced with the dilemma of leaving with their lives or risk dying for a chance to win the jackpot. The vote is split evenly by 100 on both sides, but the tie is broken by number 1, who chooses to terminate the game. The vote proves that while one half values their lives over money, the other half are willing to risk it all for a better life, stating that their chances of survival in Squid Game are no better than the cold and cruel world they are already living in.
And cast out into the cold world that we know and endure.
All the contestants are released back into the world, and we get a deeper dive into all their personal struggles. Sang-woo befriends Ali and shows him an act of kindness by paying for his bus fare. Ali is an international worker from Pakistan with a wife and 1-year-old son who hasn't been paid by his employer in months. Number 67's name is Kang Sae-byuk, who defected from North Korea with her little brother Chil. She needs money to rescue her parents from North Korea and reunite her family. Sae-byuk is a cold and reserved young woman who sees the absolute worst in society and doesn't trust anyone. Song-woo is 6 billion won in debt and put up everything he and his mother own as collateral. His mother has no idea of his hardships and brags to all her friends about how successful she believes him to be. Gi-yoon tries to report what happened to the police, but he just comes off crazy as hell. I mean, there's absolutely no way that he was the only one reporting this and the police would have realistically taken this more seriously. His situation becomes much more dire when his mother falls ill and needs surgery in order to survive. We meet a police detective named Hwang Jun-ho, portrayed by Wi Ha-jun, whom you'll recognize from his role in Gonjiam Haunted Asylum. Junho is searching for his missing brother, who unbeknownst to him, also participated in Squid Game. All the players are given a second chance and are re-invited to participate in Squid Game. Despite being fully aware of the dangers of participating, the weight of all their struggles and demons is simply too much. Gi-hoon, as well as several others, decide to voluntarily re-enter the competition. All the contestants are put to sleep and transported to a seaport by minivan. Detective Junho followed Gi-yoon and manages to sneak his way onto the boat by disguising himself as one of the shy guys. Now, this is a minor gripe, but I really hate when people in movies or shows decide to dangerously investigate something all on their own without telling a soul what they're up to. I get that it adds narrative suspense, but it also makes them look really stupid. He infiltrates the Pink Men group and learns that they too must abide by a specific set of rules. 187 contestants return and instantly begin to form teams to raise their survival odds. Gi-yoon, Sang-woo, Ali, and the old man agree to form a team and look out for each other. They are lined up and handed out food during a set meal period in which number 111 finds a pink note inside of his food. The second game takes place inside of a huge children's playground. They are instructed to stand in front of one of 4 shapes: a circle, triangle, star, or an umbrella. They are then handed a metal tin containing a dalgona candy, also known as honeycomb or Korean sponge candy. The candy is outlined with the respective shape they chose to stand in front of. The objective of the game is to perfectly cut out the shape from the candy without breaking it. Sang-woo figures out the next game with help from Sae-byuk, who snuck into the vents during a bathroom trip the previous night. He shows his true colors early when he chooses not to disclose the crucial game information to his teammates, leaving them at a disadvantage.
아니야.
Those who chose the triangle are at an obvious advantage because of its simplicity compared to the other shapes. If you f that one up, then you don't deserve the 45 bill. If you chose the umbrella like Gi-hyun, then you better be wearing the same plot armor he is. Number 369 is the first to break his candy and takes a huge blast to the face. Several other contestants bite the bullet and seem almost shocked by what's happening. They seem to have forgotten that playing could cost them their lives and appear to have gotten way too comfortable. Number 212 cheats her way to victory with the help of a lighter that she snuck in through unorthodox methods and gives it to number 101, who was struggling with a star. Gi-yoon manages to successfully cut out his shape by licking the back of the candy and softening it up. One poor soul almost made it out but broke the handle of his umbrella. He snatches a guard's gun and threatens to kill him if he isn't let go. The man forces the guard to take off his mask and, realizing his desperate situation, shoots himself in the head. Frontman arrives and immediately kills the guard.
우리가 누군지 알게 되면 죽는다.
The survivors regroup and we learn that 79 players were eliminated during Game 2, bringing the total prize up to 35 billion won. Number 212 joins up with 101 and his group of thugs for having helped them the previous game. She appeared very manipulative from the beginning, and it's obvious that she will do whatever it takes to have an upper hand. I'm pretty sure that we all know someone like that in real life. During a meal period, 101 and his group of goons enter the food line a second time and rob 5 other contestants of their meal. There was only enough food for the exact number of contestants, and the guard doesn't seem to care that food was unjustly taken from the others. Come on, man. Number 271 confronts the thieves and gets beaten to death by 101.
사람이 죽었다고요! 내 말 안 들려? 이러면 안 되는 거잖아!
The guards don't seem to care about what just went down and just haul him away in the present coffin. In a weird turn of events, we learn that number 111 and a few rogue guards have been harvesting the organs of dead players to make money. The guards have secretly been telling him the games ahead of time by sneaking notes in his food. They reveal that nothing was done about the food shortage to purposely spark conflict between the contestants so that a fight could break out and weed out the weak. Number 111 joins up with number 101 and his thugs, revealing that he is a doctor and also knows what the next game is. I found it quite interesting how simply having the information for the next game practically made him the most important man in the room. Just as predicted, a brutal and gritty fight breaks loose after lights out. Number 101 and his goons go after Sae-byuk, but she is saved by Gi-yoon and his team. The fight comes to an end when the old man shouts and pleads for everyone to stop.
게임 종료.
The guards were on standby the entire time, waiting on the order to step in and stop the fight. In the aftermath of the brawl, the group reveal each of their names to build trust among them. The old man's mental state is starting to deteriorate as he does not seem to remember his own name.
이름이 영감님 아까 많이 무서우셨나 보다.
Number 101 and 212 get a little steamy with each other in the bathroom and also reveal their names to each other. Her name is Han Min-yo and his name is Jang Dok-soo. She makes him promise to stay with her until the end and vows to kill him if he betrays her, which he ends up doing in the very next game. With exactly 80 players left, they are instructed to come up with teams of 10 and Dok-soo dumps Min-yo because she is a woman.
씨발 더럽게 질척거리네 진짜.
She joins up with Gi-hyun and Sae-byuk recruits a young girl, bringing a total of 3 women and an elderly man on their team. This proves to be a huge disadvantage for them as we discover that the third game is tug of war. Dok-soo was aware of this beforehand thanks to the doctor and made sure his team consisted of the strongest men possible. The game is played over 2 tall platforms, and if they lose, the entire losing team falls to their deaths. Dok-soo's team easily overpowers the other team and wins their challenge. Gi-yoon's team is up next and are at an obvious disadvantage. The old man recalls having won tug of war numerous times as a kid. He tells them of a strategy that almost always helped them be victorious, even if the other team were much more physically imposing. Thanks to the old man's strategy and last-minute trick from Sang-woo, they are able to defeat the other team and live to see another day. Detective Junho gets involved with the organ harvesting operation by sheer coincidence of having taken the identity of the previous rogue guard who was involved. He is then tasked with delivering the organs to a pickup ship with the other circle-faced guard. The guard realizes that Junho is an imposter, but is killed by him soon after. In the operating room, things quickly go south when the guards tell the doctor that they do not know the next game he will be playing. The doc is totally not down with that and murders one of the guards before attempting to make a run for it. The guard chases him into the room of the second game, and they are eventually both killed by the frontman. Frontman finds the dead bodies of the remaining guards and realizes that there is an intruder. An emergency alarm blares through the entire complex, and all the contestants are told to line up. Junho discovers files containing the names of contestants of previous games. He finds a list of all prior winners and finds his brother's name, Hwang In-ho, who seems to have played and won the game in 2015. Prior to the start of the next game, we see that the old man is starting to lose control of his body as he urinates on himself and appears extremely disoriented. While being escorted to the next game, we see the dead bodies of the doctor and the rogue guards hung out for display. They are told that the men broke the rules and tainted the pure ideology of this world for their own benefit. Every contestant is considered equal and are given the same level of opportunity to succeed on an even playing field. The contestants are then instructed to partner up for the next game. Ollie partners up with Sang-woo, Sae-byuk partners up with the young girl, and Gi-yoon partners up with the old man. Gi-yoon and the old man's friendship is one of the highlights of the show and gives it some much needed heart. Minyo ends up being the one without a partner and is dragged away by the guards before the game. Before the game starts, Gi-yoon and the old man form a pact to become ganbu with one another, or according to the old man, really close friends that share everything. In a shocking turn of events, the contestants learn that they will not be working together, but in fact will actually be facing off against their partner, meaning that only half of the contestants will walk out alive. Each contestant is given a bag of 10 marbles and have to win all the others' marbles before the time runs out. They can obtain the marbles by any means, but are prohibited from resorting to violence. Sang-woo finally reveals his true colors and ends up deceiving Ollie for all his marbles. Ollie made the fatal mistake of being too trusting of Sang-woo. He was a truly sympathetic character with a naive personality which put him at a disadvantage from the very beginning. Ollie never fully realized the gravity of the situation and what one must do to survive. Ollie represents all the naive and innocent people that get preyed on and taken advantage of every single day. The young girl purposely loses her game against Sae-byuk so that she may advance to the next stage. She reveals that she went to prison for killing her father after he murdered her mom. She tells Sae-byuk that unlike her, she doesn't have a family and no real reason to win all the money.
제주도에 두고 가.
The old man's mental state has severely worsened and he wanders around the play area, which he says resembles his childhood neighborhood. He doesn't seem to understand what's going on and Gi-yoon desperately tries to get him to play.
당신이 여기 혹이 있어서 어차피 죽을 거라 상관없을지 모르겠지만 난 꼭 여기서 살아서 나가야 돼.
It is now clear that the old man has completely lost his mind. Gi-yoon unfortunately takes advantage of this to win all but one of the old man's marbles. The old man eventually reveals that he was aware of Gi-hyun's deception the entire time and willingly hands him his last marble. Before his death, he reveals his name to be Oh Il-nam.
1번 탈락.
Frontman is still searching for Junho and says that the VIP guests will be arriving soon. They find the dead body of the guard Junho killed and find his police credentials revealing his true identity. In the aftermath of the game, a man is completely distraught from having won the game over his late wife and hangs himself. We also see that Minyo was sitting on her bed the entire time and lucked out from having to participate. With a majority of the beds now removed, we see that the walls actually revealed which games would be played all along. I can confirm that they were there the entire time as they actually reveal games 5 and 6. The VIPs finally arrive on the island and reveal that the competition has been taking place for their entertainment, showing that the main reason behind the competition was not to help the poor make money, but to ultimately entertain the rich. Frontman informs the host of the VIP's arrival, and we see that his identity is also hidden behind a very glamorous animal mask, just like the VIPs. The acting from the English-speaking VIPs is absolutely hilarious and cringy. This is something I've often noticed from Asian films and TV shows. The English-speaking actors are almost always never on par with the acting of the main cast. I suppose in this case, the VIPs could be acting that way on purpose as to represent the larger-than-life rich individuals.
So who you putting your money on this time?
I still haven't decided yet.
Junho sneaks his way into the VIP section by disguising himself as a waiter and uses his phone to record evidence. Before the 5th game starts, the contestants are told to choose a mannequin numbered 1 through 16, as it determines the order in which they'll be playing. This is an extremely difficult and dangerous choice, as none of them know what lies ahead in the next game. Gi-yoon can't make up his mind quick enough and is left either number 1 or 16. A man approaches him and begs him to let him pick number 1. He says that he has been living as a coward his whole life and finally wants to take charge and lead from the front. You go, man. In the 5th game, the contestants must cross a bridge over to the other side in 16 minutes, giving an equal 1 minute for each player. They must each hop on glass stepping stones to get across. However, only one of the 2 stepping stones in front of them are strong enough to hold them. The other glass stepping stone will break, causing the contestant to fall to their death. Number 1 realizes he's absolutely screwed and looks back at Gi-hyun. Why the hell are you looking at him like that, man? You chose number 1. You should have probably came with a thicker plot armor. Several contestants fall to their deaths, paving a clear path for the ones in the rear. Deok-soo, being the scumbag that he is, refuses to go any further and demands someone else go in front of him. Minyo follows through on her promise to kill him if he ever betrayed her. She tightly grabs a hold of him and then pulls a Sandor Clegane. One of the VIPs takes a liking to Junho and takes him to a private room. Junho sticks a gun to the man's head and forces him to reveal the truth behind Squid Game on video. Number 17, now in the lead, reveals that he can differentiate between the weaker and stronger glass, as he worked in a glass factory for over 30 years. He chose not to reveal his secret until now, as Deok-soo and his gang previously tried to kill him numerous times. He manages to get to the last tile, but frontman shuts off the lights so that he can't tell between the 2. Song-woo then pushes the man to his death, clearing the path for the rest of the group. The time runs out, and in a very visually pleasing scene, the rest of the bridge suddenly explodes and sends glass shards flying everywhere. After retrieving the evidence, Junho is able to make his way onto another small island, but is swiftly pursued by Frontman and his guards. He makes it to the top of a cliff, but has nowhere else to go. He shoots Frontman in the shoulder with his last bullet, who then reveals himself to be Hwang In-ho, Junho's missing brother. Frontman is portrayed by one of my favorite South Korean actors, Lee Byung-hun, whom you'll most likely recognize from I Saw the Devil.
더하진 않을 테니까 걱정하지 마. 이 미친 개사이코 새끼들.
He tells his brother that he will live if he comes with him. Junho refuses to do so and is shot off the cliff by his own brother. The remaining 3 contestants are Gi-hyun, Sang-woo, and Sae-byuk. We see that Sae-byuk was impaled with a large shard of glass during the previous game, but doesn't tell anyone. They are congratulated for having made it to the finals and are served a fancy schmancy steak dinner. Afterwards, they are purposely left with the steak knives to arm themselves with. Gi-hyun now realizes that Sang-woo will stop at nothing to win the competition, even if it means killing his own best friend. He has a conversation with Sae-byuk, who makes him promise that whichever one of them wins the game, that they will take care of each other's family. Gi-hyun notices that Sang-woo has fallen asleep and takes out his knife to go kill him.
아저씨는 그런 사람 아니잖아.
I almost guarantee that he wasn't really asleep and would have killed Gi-hyun if he actually approached him. Gi-hyun realizes that Sae-byuk is severely injured and rushes over to the metal gates to ask for help. The metal gates suddenly open and the guards walk in carrying a casket. He looks back and sees Sang-woo standing over her dead body holding a bloody knife. This proves that he was never really asleep and was waiting for his opportunity to strike. In a complete fit of rage, Gi-hyun rushes Sang-woo with his knife but is stopped by the guards. This is my favorite scene in the entire show, as it displays so much raw emotion and is backed by a beautifully haunting soundtrack. Gi-yoon and Sang-woo are the final two contestants of the game. The two former childhood best friends will be facing off in the 6th and titular Squid Game. As explained in the very first scene of the show, Squid Game is played by an offensive team versus a defensive one. The objective of the game is for the offense to bypass the defense and cut through the neck of the squid. The defense must then keep the attacking team from reaching their circle at the head of the squid by any means necessary. If the offense is pushed out of the boundary marked by the line, they are eliminated.
그래, 죽는다.
Gi-yoon easily walks across the neck of the squid by throwing dirt into Sang-woo's eyes. Rain begins to fall and the two former friends get into a gritty and brutal brawl. Gi-yoon then gets the upper hand on Sang-woo and incapacitates him by punching him numerous times, Batman style.
I'm vengeance.
However, he refuses to kill his friend and stabs the knife into the ground. Gi-yoon limps over to the circle but refuses to step inside, realizing that his victory will mean the death of Sang-woo. Despite all the hardship they endured to get to this point, Gi-yoon realizes that he is better than the system who put him here believe him to be. He is choosing to value the life of a fellow human being and friend over money. He invokes the third clause and asks Sang-woo to terminate the game with him so they can both walk out alive. Sang-woo then grabs the knife next to his head and jams it into his own neck. Sang-woo dies in his best friend's arms and Gi-yoon is declared the winner. Sang-woo knew that he could have walked out alive but chose to end his life so that neither of them would walk out with nothing. Gi-yoon has a conversation with Frontman and asks him why all of this took place. Frontman compares the contestants to horses at a racetrack, showing that the contestants weren't being seen as human beings but instead as animals for the rich to bet money on and be entertained. Gi-yoon is returned to his hometown and comes home to find his mother lying dead on the floor. Because he was participating in the games, he was unable to take care of his sick mother, who tragically died alone, undoubtedly waiting for him to return home. 1 year later, Gi-yoon definitely doesn't look like a man who just won a fortune. He walks around looking like a hobo and hasn't spent any of the money he won. He undoubtedly feels guilty and doesn't want to spend the money he feels was earned at the cost of hundreds of lives. Which is interesting to see, as this is something every contestant knew coming into the game the second time and willingly returned for. One night, he receives a card with the Squid Game logo from his Ganbu. In the final episode's shocking twist, we learn that Oh Il-nam was the host and creator of the game all along. He reveals that he amassed a fortune by lending people money and created the game with other rich individuals out of boredom after having made too much money. He says that after becoming terminally ill, he wanted to take part in the games for some excitement. He disguised himself as an innocent old man, slowly losing his mind so that no one would suspect him. This explains why the midnight brawl after the second game was stopped right after he began screaming on the bed. They were actually waiting on his orders all along. This also explains why he didn't want to reveal his name and pretended as if he had forgotten it when he was really protecting his identity. The stage for the fourth game was also designed to look like Il-nam's childhood neighborhood on purpose, something that couldn't have been just a coincidence. I believe Il-nam was originally supposed to disappear before the fourth game, as he was anticipating no one would partner up with him, though he was proven wrong by Gi-hyun. I can't help but to bring up the similarities between Oh Il-nam and John Kramer's Jigsaw. Both men are terminally ill from cancer and both come up with deadly games that question the morality and the good in people. They even infiltrate their own game for fun. During the conversation, Il-nam offers to play one last game with Gi-hyun. They see a homeless man lying in the street in the freezing cold. Il-nam places a bet that no one will come to help the freezing man, as he believes society to be morally bad and selfish. If no one helps the homeless man before midnight, Il-nam wins and takes back all the money he gave to Gi-hyun. If someone does help the old man, however, Gi-hyun wins and gets to kill Il-nam. Il-nam reveals that thanks to Gi-hyun's kindness and companionship during the games, he was able to have fun one last time. As Il-nam's life slowly fades from his body, a bystander arrives with the police and help the homeless man on the street, proving to both Il-nam and Gi-hyun that there is still good good left in this world, and that society should not be given up on. Yeah, try telling that to Arthur Fleck.
If it was me dying on the sidewalk, you'd walk right over me.
Frontman is then seen standing over Il-nam's body and will possibly take over the operations as host in his stead. I believe that his story will carry on into a second season with the possibility of Junho returning. Junho was shot in the shoulder and we never saw his dead body. I've come to learn that if we don't actually see an on-screen death, there's a chance it didn't happen. Il-nam's case is a prime example of that. After his conversation with Il-nam, Gi-yoon now has a different perspective on winning. He dyes his hair bright red and takes Sae-byuk's younger brother Chul out of the home and into the care of Sang-woo's mother. He leaves a large briefcase full of money with a note telling her that this is the money he owes Sang-woo. Sometime later, he sees the same man who recruited him into the games doing the exact same thing to another man, showing that the annual games are about to begin again. He attempts to confront the man but is not able to reach him in time. He grabs the card from the stranger, which now has a new phone number on it. Gi-hyun heads to the airport to board a flight to America and visit his daughter. Before boarding the flight, however, he dials the number on the card and speaks his name. A man's voice on the other end, possibly Frontman, tells him,
그 비행기를 타. 그게 당신한테 좋을 거야.
showing that they are still possibly keeping track of his every move. In the show's final scene, Gi-yoon turns around with a stern look on his face, determined to uncover who are behind these games and possibly put an end to them as the final episode ends. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was Squid Game. My friends, this is without a doubt one of the best shows I have seen in recent memory. I was hooked by this show from start to finish. The show's ending really leaves the door open for a second season, as there is much more that they can explore. The show could go in the Hunger Games direction, where previous winners are invited to take part once again. There is also the possibility of other games being explored, as they seemingly take place internationally, as stated by one of the VIPs. I also feel that they still have to explore the story between the two brothers, as that arc didn't seem to have a proper resolution. By the film's final scene, it really seems that Gi-hyun's journey is just beginning. There's a lot of things that could be done with the show, and whatever they decide to do, I hope it does justice to the amazing first season and that it doesn't overstay its welcome. With how popular Squid Game has gotten, it would be easy to try and cash in on the popularity and lose the sight of what made the first season so special. But as always, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you all for tuning in, and I cannot wait to see y'all right back here in the horror mine. Y'all stick around.